Good afternoon, everybody. I sent out invitations. I think I sent it out from Walk by Faith. I am so sorry. But anyway, we're starting now. I hope you all will join me. I don't know why. I started reading yesterday in Proverbs chapter 4, and I had to stop on verse 13, I think it was. So I will continue from there. And I hope if you miss it now, you can see it later. But we're going to start in verse 14, Proverbs 4. Enter not into the path of the wicked, and go not in the way of evil man. Avoid it, pass not by it. Turn from it, pass away. For they sleep not, except they have done mischief, and their sleep is taken away, unless they cause some to fall. For they eat the bread of wickedness and drink the wine of violence. But the path of the just is as the shining light that shineth more and more unto the perfect day. The way of the wicked is as darkness. They know not at what they stumble. That was 14 through 19. So some make David's instructions to Solomon's, which began, to continue to the end of the chapter. Some continue them to the end of the 9th chapter. But it is more probable that Solomon begins here again, if not sooner. And these verses, having exhorted us to walk in the paths of wisdom, he cautions us against the paths of the wicked. We must take heed of the ways of sin and avoid them. Everything that looks like sin and leads to it. In order to this, we must keep out of the ways of sinners and have no fellowship with them. For fear of falling into wicked courses, we must shun wicked company. Here is I, to caution itself. And verses 14 and 15. We must take heed of falling in with sin and sinners. Enter not in the paths of the wicked. Our teacher, having, like a faithful guide, shown us the right paths, here warns us of the bypass into which we are in danger of being drawn aside. Those that have been well educated and trained up in the way they should go, let them never turn aside into the way they should not. Let them not so much as enter into it. No, not to make trial of it, lest it prove a dangerous experiment and difficult to retreat with safety. Venture not into the company of those that are infected with the plague. No, not those that think thyself guarded with an antidote. If at any time we are inveigled into an evil way, we must hasten out of it. If ere thou wast aware thou didst enter in at the gate, because it was wide, go not on in the way of evil man. As soon as thou art Made sensible of thy mistake, retire immediately. Take not a step more. Stay not a minute longer in the way that certainly leads to destruction. We must dread and detest the ways of sin and sinners, and decline them with the utmost care imaginable. The way of evil man may seem a pleasant way and sociable, and the nearest way to the accomplishing of some secular end we may have in view, but it may seem a pleasant, but it is an evil way. It will end ill. And therefore, if thou love thy God, and thou so avoid it, pass not by it. Hello, Char and Beth. Thanks for joining us. That thou mayest not be tempted to enter into it. And if thou find thyself near it, turn from it and pass away. And get as far off as thou canst. The manner of expression and intimates the imminent danger we are in, the need we have of this caution, and the great importance of it. And our watchmen are, or should be, in good earnest and give us warning. It intimates likewise at what a distance we should keep from sin and sinners. He does not say, keep at a due distance, but at a great distance. But the further the better. Never think you can get far away enough from it. Escape for thy life. Look not behind thee. The reasons to enforce this caution. Consider the character of the man whose way thou art warned to shun. They are mischievous men. They not only care not what they hurt, they do not to those that stand in their way, but it is their business to do mischief. And their delight purely for mischief's sake. They're continually designing and endeavoring to cause some to fall, to ruin them body and soul. Wickedness and malice are in their nature, and violence is in all their actions. They are spiteful in the highest degree, for mischief is rest and sleep to them. As much satisfaction as a covetous man has when he has got money, an ambitious man when he has got preferment, and a good man when he has done good. So much have they when they have said or done that which is injurious and ill-natured, and they are extremely uneasy if they cannot get their envy and revenge gratified, as Haman, to whom everything was unpleasant as long as Mordecai was unhanged. It intimates likewise how restless and unwary they are in their mischievous pursuits. They will rather be deprived of sleep than the pleasure of being vexatious. Mischief is meat and drink to them. The wicked man thinks about time lost, which are not doing hurt. Let good men make it as much their business and delight to do good. Friends, I have lost today, and let all that are wise and wish well to themselves avoid the society of the wicked, for it is very scandalous. For there is no disposition of mind that is a greater reproach to human nature, a greater enemy to human society, a bolder defiance to God and conscience, that has more of the devil's image in it, or is more serviceable to his interests than a delight to his mischief, and to vex and hurt and ruin everybody. It is very dangerous. Shun those that delight to do mischief without tenderest thy own safety, for whatever friendship they may pretend, one time or other they will do thee mischief. Thou wilt ruin thyself, and thou dost concur with them. For whatever friendship they may pretend, one time or other they will do thee mischief. Thou wilt ruin thyself if thou dost concur with them, and they will ruin thee if thou dost not. Consider the character of the way itself, which thou art warned to shun, compared with the right way which thou art invited to walk in. The way of righteousness is light, the path of the just, which they have chosen, and in which they walk, is as light, the light shines in their ways. Job 22, verse 28. And makes them both safe and pleasant. Christ is their way, and he is the light. They are guided by the word of God, and that is light to their feet. They themselves are light in the Lord. And they walk in the light as he is in the light. It is a shining light. Their way shines to themselves in the joy and comfort of it. It shines before others in the luster and honor of it. It shines before men who see their good works. Matthew 5:16. They go on in their way with a holy security and serenity of mind, as those that walk in the light. It is the morning light which shines out of obscurity. Isaiah 58, 8, verses 8 and verse 10, and puts an end to the work of darkness. It is a growing light. It shines more and more. Not like the light of a meteor, which soon disappears, or that of a candle, which burns dim and burns down, but like that of the rising sun, which goes forward shining, mounts up forward shining. Grace, the God of this way is growing. He that has clean hands shall be stronger and stronger. That joy, which is the pleasure of this way, the honor, which is the brightness of it, and all the happiness, which is indeed its light, shall be still increasing. It will arrive in the end as a perfect day. The light of the day's spring will at length be noonday light, and it is this that the enlightened soul is pressing the perfect day, pressing towards. The saints will not be perfect till they come to heaven, but there they shall themselves shine as the sun when it goes forth in his strength. Matthew 13, verse 43. Their graces and joy shall be all consuming. Therefore it is our wisdom to keep close to the path of the just. The way of sin is as darkness. The works he had cautioned us not to have fellowship with are works of darkness. What true pleasures and satisfaction can those have who know no pleasure and satisfaction but what they have in doing mischief? What sure God have those that cast God's word behind him? The way of the wicked is dark, and therefore dangerous, for they stumble yet know not at what they stumble. They fall into sin, but are not aware which way the temptation came, by which they were overthrown, and therefore know not how to avoid it the next time. They fall into trouble, but never inquire wherefore God contends with them. They consider not that they do evil, nor what will be in the end of it. Psalms 82, verse 5, Job 18:5, and Job 18:6. This is the way we are directed to shun. Okay, now we're going to read the rest of chapter 4, verses 20 through 27. My son, Attend to my words, incline thine ear unto my sayings. Let them not depart from thine eyes, keep them in the midst of thine heart. For they are life unto those that find them, and health to all their flesh. Keep thy heart with all diligence, for out of it are the issues of life. Put away from thee a forward mouth and perverse lips, put far from thee. Let thine eyes look right on, and let thine eyelids look straight before thee. Ponder the path of thy feet, and let all thy ways be established. Turn not to the right hand, nor to the left. Remove thy foot from evil. So we see that Solomon, having warned us not to do evil, he teaches how to do well. It is not enough for us to shun the occasions of sin, but we must study the methods of duty. We must have a continual regard to the Word of God, and endeavor that it may be always ready to us. The sayings of wisdom must be our principles by which we must govern ourselves, our monitors to warn us of duty and danger, and therefore we must receive them readily, incline our ear to them, humbly bow to them, diligently listen to them. The attentive hearing of the Word of God is a good sign of a work of grace begun in the heart, and a good means of carrying it on. It is to be hoped that those who are resolved to do their duty, which are inclined to know it. We must maintain them carefully. We must lay them before us as our rule. Let them not depart from thy eyes. View them, review them, and everything aimed to conform to them. We must lodge them within us. As a commanding principle, the influences of which are diffused throughout the whole man, keep them in the midst of thy heart as things dear to thee, in which thou art afraid of losing. Let the words of God be written in thy heart, and that which is written there will remain. The reason why we must thus make much of the words of wisdom is because they will be food, both food and physics to us, like the tree of life in Revelation 22:2, Ezekiel 47:12. Those that seek him and find them, find and keep them, shall find in them food, for they are life unto those that find them. As the spirit of life was begun by the word as the instrument of it, so by the same word it is still nourished and maintained. We cannot live without it. We may by faith live upon it. The psychic part, they are health to all their flesh, to the whole man, both body and soul. They help to keep both in good plight. They are health to all flesh. There is enough to cure all the diseases of this tempered world. They are medicine to all their flesh, to all their corruptions, for they are all called flesh, to all their grievances, which are as thorns in the flesh. There is in the Word of God a proper remedy for all our spiritual maladies. We must keep a watchful eye and a strict hand upon all the motions of our inward man. Here is a great duty required by the laws of wisdom. In order to our getting and preserving wisdom, keep thy heart with all diligence. God, who gave us these souls, gave us a strict charge with them. Man, woman, keep thy heart. Take heed to thy spirit. Deuteronomy 4:9. We must maintain a holy jealousy of ourselves and set a strict guard accordingly upon all the avenues of the soul. Keep our hearts from doing hurt and getting hurt, from being defiled by sin and disturbed by trouble. Keep them as our jewel, vineyard. Keep a conscience void of offense, keep our bad thoughts, keep out bad thoughts. Sorry about that. Keep up good thoughts. Keep the affections upon right objects and in due bounds. Keep them with all keepings. There are many ways of keeping things, by care, by strength, by calling in help, and we must use them all in keeping our hearts, and all little enough. So deceitful are they. Jeremiah 17:9. Or above all keepings, we must keep our hearts with more care and diligence than we keep anything else. Hello, Carol. Nice that you could join us. A good reason given. Okay. We must keep our eyes. Job 31, verse 1. Keep our tongues. Psalms 34:13. Keep our feet. Ecclesiastes 5:1. But above all, keep our hearts. A good reason given for this care, because out of it are the issues of life. Out of a heart well kept with flow living issues, good products to the glory of God and the edification of others. I had to get my hair cut. I'm sorry. In my eyes. Or in general, all the actions of the life flow from the heart. And therefore, keeping that is making the tree good and healing the springs. Our lives will be regular or irregular, comfortable or uncomfortable, according as our hearts are kept or neglected. We must set a watch before the door of our lips, that we offend not with our tongue. Put away from thee a forward mouth and perverse lips. Our hearts being naturally corrupt, out of them a great deal of corrupt communication is apt to come, and therefore we must conceive a great dread and detestation of all manner of evil words, cursing, swearing, lying, slandering, brawling, filthiness, and foolish talking. Excuse me 1 second, y'all. I'm sorry, my mouth is getting dry. All which comes from a forward mouth and perverse lips.